My first match was in Freeport, Florida, which is outside the Funiac.
How did you feel, though, going like, wow, I've only done this 3 times, and I'm ready for a match? Were you second-guessing yourself?
I didn't say I was ready for a match.
Okay, so you obviously were...
I think it was just one of those things where Steve needed a body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is at Freeport, he's I need a body. You know, I showed up early. You know, he gave me the name Flash Fantasy.
Where did that come from?
I have no idea.
Just out of his back pocket.
He's something he wanted to get this other kid that was. He had one kid that was huge. Something Frost was his name. You know that big guy? He had long hair. Anyways, big dude, huge dude, and he wanted to give him the name, but he didn't want it. And I didn't have a name. And I thought. And
you didn't come up with a... Because a lot of times guys already have a gimmick and already have a finish.
No, I never had a gimmick or anything like that. You know, but he gave me this gimmick. I was a baby face to start out with. Flash Fantasy came out. You know, didn't have no boots. Didn't have. It was like black. They were like black black Nike hiking boots is what they were. Pair of baggy pants, t-shirt, you know, just this shaved head, tape. I had tape. It was a tag match in Freeport. We worked Dan Sawyer. I don't know if you know who that is. Mad Dog Dan. He's from up in Alabama.
Heard the name.
He was outside the ring. I don't remember the 2 guys who I tagged against. I remember my spot I got, hot tag. Like middle of the match type thing. You know, he tagged me. Boom, boom, boom. They bumped 3 times without the ring. Popped to the crowd. That's all I got. Got my ass beat after that.
Sweet.
Pretty much. I mean, I remember Dan Sawyer hanging me with his dog chain. I thought I was going to die.
Really?
Yeah, he beat the shit out of me.
Welcome to the business.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you guys go over the match? Did they know that you had 6 hours of training at that point?
I know. Steve just told him, "Hey, you want this kid here in the tag match? Keep him on my apron most of the time. Okay. He does listen well. Yeah, he does not take bumps. That's about the extent of it." So I got 6 punches the whole match. You know what I'm saying? Right. I was the middle hot tag.
Sure.
You know, they come back in, cut me off, and then beat the shit out of me.
How'd you feel about the match?
Typical, drizzling shits. Because my partner wasn't much better. You know, I know I was a sore motherfucker for about 3 days. My back hurt, my legs hurt. You know, it's the first time ever taken. Anytime I have a training lesson, I come home sore as hell.
Sure.
This was like the factual first. More than 2 minutes of moving and take a break.
You had some adrenaline going too at that point.
Yeah, and you didn't feel nothing to the next day.
Right.
With the Armstrongs being old school like they are, back in the territorial days when they didn't have schools, quote unquote.
Yeah.
A lot of the old timers talk about how they learned in the ring.
That's pretty much how I did it. From that point, after my learning how to bump and knowing how to do a headlock and lock up and
on the job
take an
training.
arm, it was in the ring. See, another thing is he kind of put me. He's my trainer, so you had to listen to what he said. And I love Steve to death. Steve would beat the shit out of you. I mean, if you made him mad enough.
I think of all the Armstrongs all have quick tempers, and of all of them, Steve's is, and I've seen it firsthand. Steve's is the quickest.
Yes, and I've seen him jump on people. I've seen a story about Steve that he beat the crap. Fast forwarding quite a few years later in Andalusia, he beat the Pirate. I don't know if you've heard of it.
We've heard about.
I buried him on one of the other ones.
The Raised Boys and Frost.
He shows up for the show in Andalusia. This is probably 3 years later after I've started. Just fast forward a little bit.
Sure.
Just a quickie.
Just like comes in with his gimmicks, trying to sell them at his table and all, and Steve's like, "Hey, what are you doing? You're not even booked on this show. You can't come with your crap and put it up and take me away from my boys. Trying to sell their stuff. He's like, "Oh, it's okay." Steve said, "No, it's not okay. I'm telling you, get your shit and get out." So this was happening at like the front door area, and there was a bit of people had kind of gathered. So Pete the Pirate starts trying to make it work and starts backing into the. "Oh, I'll take you in the ring, Armstrong." Steve said, "Fuck you will," and he hit him twice. And the 2 times he hit him, he busted his head in 2 places. I mean, he had a bald head anyways.
You punched him?
Yes. Bleeding from this side and bleeding from this side.
I believe it.
It was over. I mean, it was over. And the cops show up, and I'm like, oh my god.
Did he file charges as Pete the Pirate?
I don't know that. Here's the funny thing though: the cops come back, have Steve in cuffs in the back, trying to take him out, and Bob said, "Hey, can I talk to you 2 guys?" And like 10 minutes later, they unhandcuff Steve and they leave. So Bob basically, got him out. you know, and that was a crazy thing. But I mean, Steve was just like that, you know. So I was always real cautious.
Sure.
If he told me to do something, I was like, yes, sir.
Right.
You know, went straight and done it. He had me doing hardcore with a kid named.
So you were doing hard.
Used to start after I did my first match.
Uh-huh.
Then he had this kid named DJ.
Were they going to push you as like a hardcore guy? Was that something you were comfortable
I think
with?
he was just doing it as the gimmick match for the show.
What year was this? Do you figure?
When did we meet? 99? 99.
Well, UCW was hot at that point.
Yeah.
So hardcore was hot.
Me and a kid named DJ. He went by the Oz was his work name.
I remember that guy.
Great kid, man. But he and his brother, he had a brother named
Big Ball.
Josh, Johnny 8 Ball. They beat the shit. Literally.
You pooped?
No, not me.
Oh.
Them two. And me and him,
okay.
we hurt each other. Not
Uh-huh.
on purpose, but it would happen. But I watched them two just literally beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, I've seen their match.
Quick story about them guys. They, one time, Josh, Johnny 8 Ball, broke DJ's arm by accident in the backyard. In the backyard. So to get him back, the next week they had that little backyard thing going, you know. He threw him in a casket. It was a casket match. So Josh thinks it's over. DJ pours gas on it and lights the bitch on fire. It was like a metal
While
casket.
he's in it.
While he's in it.
Oh.
I mean, that's
Wow.
how crazy they were. I was like, none of that shit.
Were there people?
And that was when they weren't getting paid for it.
Yeah, they were just in the backyard, you know. He was mad because he broke his arm, so he didn't let him know he was getting him back. He just got him back.
Wow, man.
You
Because
know,
usually I put Ben Gay on people. Like that's my big
He
rip.
literally, it was like a metal casket. Because they brought the casket later to a show later on. It had it was still burnt on top. We had hardcore for probably the first 8 months. I had to do hardcore stuff.
What'd you think of that?
It sucked.
Yeah, looking at a guy like Flair and being like, I idolize that guy, and then
right.
do it.
But I did what I was told.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I got through the hardcore champion and all that crap.
How'd you like it?
It sucked. I mean, 'cause that guy DJ would beat the shit. I mean, he didn't know all the way, but...
Were they not using psychology, or was it literally...
No, it was just literally get in the ring and just go at it.
Hit each other with shit.
Yeah. We had our climax, I guess you would say, was we had a barbed wire match.
like no ring?
No, it was ropes,
rope? Okay.
but it was the top and middle rope wrapped
Okay.
completely around. So they told us, we took all the barbs and filed them down. Then we found out they lied to us. As soon as we hit them, we knew they lied. Did that, and that was my first injury, quote unquote, because the finish was, I'll never forget this. I got the scar still. They had DJ wasn't no bigger than Maze. Maze actually taller than DJ was.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing against you, Maze. You know,
That's
Cruz,
Cruz.
Cruz, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
no bigger than Cruz.
Oh,
My bad. Now he hates me. Yeah.
You're getting faved
I've seen it
bad.
before too.
But anyway, so the finish was, we'd worked it down. We were both bleeding, like stuck hot. I mean, because it's hitting the ropes.
Yeah.
They would just stick in your back.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And it was horrible. But I'd never gigged or anything at this point. I didn't have to gig when you're hitting barbed wire.
Right.
He told me, I remember taking
Were
a bat.
you wearing a t-shirt?
Yeah, I had a t-shirt on, but I mean,
Two
it
or
was
three?
just one.
Oh,
it was
wow.
just one. Because they told us they filed the barbed
Okay.
thing, you know.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, as soon as you hit it, you're like, oh, it's bullshit,
Right.
you know. But I remember taking the match one time, had a baseball bat, had it wrapped. He's like, made me bleed. I was like, what do you know, what do you want me to do? I took the bat and held it in my hand and literally just grinded it in his face. Because he wanted to bleed. I didn't know, I was 6 months in the business. I didn't know.
Right.
Never heard no gig. I said, well, I got a barbed wire.
Oh, yeah.
He was
Two and
bleeding, but he was more scratched than anything, like a
Yeah.
cat had got a hold of him.
Oh.
You know?